Got a review for some Hammer horror films. Hammer's my favorite of all the horror films. I grew up with Gothic horror and Universal films, and then migrated to Hammer. I think Hammer is the underappreciated, almost forgotten with today's kids growing up in the 80s and 90s and 2000, and they're missing out, in my opinion, because these are great classic films made on a relatively low budget. Mill Creek released 2 double features recently, and I picked these up. This is The Two Faces of Dr. Jekyll and the Gorgon. And then I've got The Revenge of Frankenstein and The Curse of the Mummy's Tomb. Now, these are bare bones releases. I mean, there's no subtitles, no trailers, nothing, which is really kind of disappointing. The transfers are high-def scans of the original DVDs. And for those that are interested, I've got here's the Anchor Bay release of Revenge of Frankenstein. I've had this for some time. And this has a trailer and still galleries and things. This is actually Columbia Pictures. But I compared the print of this and this, and really this is just a high-def scan of this DVD. It's still got a lot of speckling and things. It just looks a little sharper, and the contrast is better. So I would say if you don't have these films, this is obviously the way to go. But it's disappointing with the films as classic as these that they didn't do any kind of special features. I guess we'll have to wait for maybe Anchor Bay or someone overseas to do something proper like they did with the Horror of Dracula and the original Mummy. For the Gorgon and the Two Faces of Dr. Jekyll, the only other release that you could get these, and I'm aware of, was this Icons of Horror collection, which was released as 4 films. And these are, you don't have any special features here either other than a trailer. So, these films are desperately itching for a proper release with some special features and things like that. I hope these 2 sell well, because I'd like to see more Hammer upgrades. But if you haven't seen these films, I would say Revenge of Frankenstein is the best of the 4. It was the second of the Chris Lee, Peter Cushing Hammer horror Frankenstein films, and it's not what makes it interesting. The Hammer Frankenstein series is more of a character study than it is the monster prowling around killing people. There is some of the 7 films they made. Most of them are really, the focus is on the character study of Peter Cushing as the Baron, which is really fascinating. It's more of a Gothic drama set piece with some horror thrown in rather than a monster stalking about. But most people regard Revenge of Frankenstein as the best of the 7 films. The other one on here is Curse of the Mummy's Tomb, and Curse of the Mummy's Tomb is one of many, I think there's 4 or 5 Hammer mummy films that they get picked on a lot. You've got British actors trying to be Egyptian, and Hammer. I have a soft spot for any kind of a mummy movie, but they are cheesy and cheap, and the mummy in this looks like he's bow-legged. Well, not bow-legged, but his knees come together this way. So when he's walking, his knees are, knock-kneed. He's knock-kneed, I guess. But I don't know. I have a soft spot for Hammer mummy movies, and but it's okay. But the special effects are cheap, and the story is simple, if you will. But on this one, Two Faces of Dr. Jekyll is is really not a horror film. It's another character study done in a gothic setting, where you got and Christopher Lee is in this, by the way, as he plays it straight this time. He plays a guy that's kind of leeching off of the Dr. Jekyll and his finances, and including leeching off his wife. So he's kind of the party boy that's being supported by the doctor. But this film has it's not the monster special effects. It's more about alternate personalities, where you've got you've got the reserved proper doctor, and then when he drinks the potion, he's kind of a lover boy, just out of control lover boy type. And then his wife is going through her own kind of personality issues, where she's got married to the doctor on one side and wanting to live a party life at night. So it's more of a character study, and it's probably would be it's a little slow in parts, but it's a well done movie. Now, The Gorgon is a classic Hammer film about the Medusa, the woman that turns men into stone when they look at her. She's got the snake heads, but it's got Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing, which anything therein is going to be good. But the special effects are very, very cheap. Probably the cheapest of the whole Hammer film series that I can think of. That the Gorgon has rubber snakes on her head, and it's at the end once her head gets chopped off, it's obviously a really, really bad fake head. But it's got its own charm, and I grew up with these films, so I give them a pass. But I would recommend, if you don't have any of these films on DVD, that right now the only way to go is to go with these bare bones Mill Creek editions. So thanks for watching.